I see that we're live. Got my Kubrick mug right here. Now, for those of you interested, we got the ZV-E1 right over here with 24 millimeter G Master, main angle, second angle. What is it we got? We got our Streamer X, FX30, my failsafe in case my ZV-E1 overheats. But I had a little fan on the ZV-E1, so I should probably be okay. You know what else I did? Oh, look. Yeah, I got to mute myself here. Mute. Here I was all proud that I put up my iPad so that I could also have the chat on the side so I don't miss anything important. And turns out that I didn't mute it. So how are you? Good morning, depending on where you are. If you're in Canada or most of Canada. Yeah, most of Canada at this point. Everywhere except Newfoundland is still the morning, I think. Oh no, and the Maritimes. Look at this. It's Mr. Camera Junkie. He's a moderator. He told me how to do that. He and Marine X, they told me how to moderate things. So there it is. There's my moderation. Now, let's just take a quick look at who's here. We got, Camera Junkies first in here. And good evening says right here. Nuthalalapati. I'm sure I got that exactly right. I got that right. My Logify. Oh, me and my buddy ZV-E10 and the kit lens are ready. You gotta trust these ZV-E10. Even with the kit lens, you guys know I've done videos about the kit lens on the ZV-E10 and it can be just fine. And let's see. It's Adrian Moss. While I've been OCDing about the A6700, I found videos showing me I can use my GoPro 11 to deliver pretty amazing studio. It's true. You're torn. I would say you can get the GoPro with some work, but it'll never, like the A6700, you can get that shallow depth of field. Like, look at this. See, this is a 1.4. I'll switch over to my... the FX30. Now you see that background separation? You're not going to get that there on the, I got a little stray hair over here. Oh my God, I'm not even ready for this live stream. Look at that stray hair, just embarrassing. So FX30, you see that depth of field right there? See the blurry this way? It's all backwards. The blurry, the SL60W, you're not getting that on your GoPro. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be the A6700, but you want to get, you know, for studio cams, GoPros are fantastic for what they do, but for studio, I'd stick with, you know, a regular mirrorless camera. And look at this, I'm scrolling on my iPad. I got all these 2 cameras and mics and screens, Rode Streamer X going. I feel like I'm in the future. I'm in some kind of like the Starship Enterprise. I'm in the, somehow in the front here. Now, I have typed Q : for question, so I will start just writing in the questions. Hey, look at this. Marine X, I just got the notification. Horrible YouTube. Come on, YouTube. You know, I put out that notification last night. He gets it now? Well, at least he's here. Thanks, Marine X. Yet another moderator. So Marine X told me how to do that on our last live stream, if you were here for that. I'm going to put that down. I will occasionally take very small sips of freezing cold coffee. And while we get into the questions and the comments, what's up, brother? Yeah, man, what is up? Okay. You know, the thing is about the comments, I'm trying to put them up, but every time there's a new comment here on the Ecamm, it goes down to the bottom. So then I have to scroll up. Hobbies for hire. Oh, you know what? I really like this dude. I like all of you guys, but like this guy, he comments almost always on a video, and it's not just mine. I see him comment on a lot of tech reviewers' videos. He always says, "Thanks for making this video," and you know, the little things like that. It makes a difference. People notice. I see his comments on other people's tech. It's obviously more important if he comments on mine, but and he always does, and it's nice to know that. You know, people give a crap that you made a video because, you know, yes, we're doing this because it's our business and our hobby and the thing we like to do, but you want to be well liked. You want to feel like you put a lot of effort into the video and hopefully people, you know, appreciate it in some way, shape or form. You know, you get your random amount of hate, but it's offset by people saying nice things. We'll catch this. I'm excitedly waiting for my A6700. Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm probably going to use the A6700 a lot for streaming. Like right now, I am doing. I'm putting on a Leeming LUT, and so I'm doing all my. I have my regular color grade in here, but it's a bit of a pain in the butt because I got to hook up my my dummy batteries to my camera so they don't run out, and I have to, adjust my settings and make sure my LUT is loaded in and all that stuff. Whereas with the A6700, I can just stream 4K 30 and it comes out smooth as silk, uses the picture profile off. But, Sony's new color is great. The PP off on the ZV-E1 and the A6700 is excellent. And a lot of times when people see my streams with the ZV-E1 going straight into the computer PP off, they think it's a better color grade than my own, which is, somewhat hurtful, but I do understand it. I understand it. Let's see. Let's put up some more peeps. Let's put up some more peep. And conspiracies. Hi, chat. Well, hi to you, even though not just a chat. And let's see. This is, I have my iPad here. Can you see this? And this is, that's from Marine X. He was saying, so, it's nice to have that in your peripheral, because like if things pop up, you can then see them and not miss them. I missed a comment from somebody. It was like a super chat, and he wrote, I'm still thinking about it from last week. I answered his question fully, but I didn't see it till like 10 minutes after he posted it. And then I felt bad. You know what I'm saying? So now you learn week to week. That's what happens when, your true talent is you understand your limitations, and then you learn things, and then you're better than everybody else easily. That's me. That's my life. I was actually I was talking about wrestling last time, and I don't know why I'm on this kick. Well, I'm on the kick because YouTube. I looked at one wrestling clip from when I was 17 years old, and they just flooded my feed with wrestling clips, and I couldn't help but watch them. In retrospect, what it was like. And I was hearing The Undertaker talk about The Rock when he was coming up and saying, like, nobody made from week to week the growth that he made, just trying new things and coming up with new catchphrases and just becoming the man at the WWE, which was the WWF at the time. And he said, I just never seen anyone grow that much week to week. And then I thought, I'm the same with streaming. Same exact thing, Started out going, what do I press? And now, oh my God, probably one of the top 2 streamers in the world, I would guess. Me and, I'm going to say, I don't know, what was that kid's name? PewDiePie? Peepity Poop? Whatever his name was. I didn't watch any of that stuff. Saw him on Stephen Colbert once, and Colbert, you could tell he was just like, what in the hell is this kid doing here? And he asked him like what he did, and he's like, I make millions of dollars by swearing at video games. And Colbert just shook his hand and was like, well, congratulations on winning at life. And I was like, that is how, a 50-year-old man handles that particular conversation. RIP voice. Is anybody, what? Is there something wrong with it? Can something wrong with the audio? Now I'm all paranoid. Okay, can the next comment, can someone write if the audio sounds okay? Because I got it up here. I'm gonna boom it, little tap, boop, boop, boop. Okay, is that good? My mic says it's my Streamer X, so that should be okay. Anybody? I have the live comments up now, so if anybody wants to mention the microphone then being okay, please let me know. Audio is great. Thanks, man of the meeple. Okay. I'm not sure then what my Logify is talking about. RIP voice. Maybe he's answering another comment. That's the thing. So I'm yapping and I'm chatting, and you guys are chatting with each other. So sometimes I don't know exactly what is going on, and I never will. Okay? While I am one of the top 2 streamers in the world, as we've proven, I am never going to be able to fully concentrate on all of the things. Oh, look at this. Marine X is already testing me. Look at this. I can tell he's testing me. So here it is. Here it is. Here it is, Marine X. Look at that. Here's a bribe. Marry one, bury one, keep one as a girlfriend. A6700, A1FX3. Now, you see that? It was a super chat. He knows. He was like, I'll put it in his peripheral. We'll see if he gets to it. I got you. And I appreciate your $5. Okay. Marry one, bury one and keep one as a girlfriend. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, this hurts me to say, but so I'd marry the A1. And the reason is that I do take photos, and it would suck to not have the flip out screen and not have some of the capabilities of the FX3, but I can make that work for video and make it come out fantastic with, you know, external monitors, things like that. And I have the absolute best photo camera that money can buy. So I'd have to do that. I don't own one. I could sell all of my gear and get one, but I don't because I use, like, I got a couple of camera angles. I go for value. I want cameras that are really good. But if you're saying, here's 3 cameras, you got to marry one, keep one as a girlfriend, and bury one. So I would keep the FX3 as the girlfriend because then I can do my video work easier. I bury the A6700 only because, well, I have the best photo camera that can also do video, and I have the best video camera with the FX3. So to me, that only makes sense. So there you go. There is your bribe and your answer. See, saw it again. Right? Marine X, oh buddy, you should see Marine X's live streams. You know, he and Mr. Camera Junkie, they're so good at it. They put up like a background and they put themselves in a box, and they put like their other screen in a box, and then when somebody gives them like a super chat or a live chat, music plays, and with Marine X, some nice ladies come out dancing when somebody gives them a super chat, and just like these guys, you talk about pros, my goodness. But again, I am the number 2 streamer in the world. Maybe Camera Junkie and Marine X can fight it out for the number 1 spot, but this guy's number 2. Okay, Joseph. I'm currently using a Canon G7X, looking to upgrade, but not sure if I should get the ZV-E10, A6700, or ZV-E1. Your recommendation is the A6700, and the reason being is because it can do everything the ZV-E10 can do and more, much more, because it has the 10-bit, it's got the viewfinder for photos, it's got minimum shutter in auto ISO for photos, it's got better color science, better screen. As you can see from my videos, you can make the ZV-E10 compete with it, absolutely. But if you're asking what should you buy out of these 3 cameras, to me, the best value with the most future-proof camera is the A6700. The ZV-E1 I'm shooting on right now is a pain in the butt in many ways. Amazing low light, amazing stability, great for out short clips and things like that. But right now, I have a fan running on it, and I'm not even confident with this fan on the back that it's going to last this stream. That's why I have the FX30 over there as a backup. And I was shooting 4K 120. I was doing B-roll on the ZV-E1 the other day for this Viltrox lens. Oh boy, wait till you guys see this thing right here. This, spoiler alert, this 75mm 1.2. Oh my God. It makes your APS-C, so if you have that A6700, this thing is going to be the best portrait lens. Look, as you can see, it's not small, hefty little fella here, but he is, wow, the background separation and the blur, and it's not perfect, but the thing it's good at, which is portrait photography, which is what you want it for, it's amazing at, and this is going to make APS-C cameras fly. I can't wait to show you guys that review. So anyway, I was doing B-roll of that, and 3 times the ZV-E1 overheated on me. Now, it was a little bit my fault because, a lot my fault, really, because I had the screen closed when I started doing it, and then it heated up with the screen closed, and it gave me the warning. I was like, oh, forgot, and I put the screen out. It was too late then, once the camera's heated up. I did get all of my B-roll shots, and I was shooting for about 10 minutes or so. And so I knew there was a possibility it would overheat, but, like that, it's a bit of a pain in the butt, whereas the A6700, while it overheats if you're doing 4K 120 for 20 straight minutes, it wouldn't have overheated in that situation that I was just in. So yeah, that's why I would recommend, if for your upgrade from this Canon A6700, and that's what I'll say to that. I think that was a perfect answer from the second best streamer in the world. Let's see. Hey, Cameron. Good morning. Okay, we're still. I'll get to the questions in a second. Look, is that the Viltrox at 1.2 for APS-C? Oh yeah, Christina, it's a beauty. It is a beauty. It's one of those situations where I just, oof, like the Sigma 56mm f1.4 is still a fantastic portrait lens and much more the regular like 85mm look, and this one's going to be like that 135mm. So it's not quite the traditional portrait of an 85mm full frame field of view, but the background separation is so great and it makes everything look so good. And this, I just skipped ahead. I just saw this, so I'll say, would you provide a complete overheating test about the A6700? I did during my review, and once again, I'll just repeat it. It was 4K up to 60. I did not get any overheating. It ran until the battery ran out. Now, I was just talking to Jason Herman. He's testing his out right now, and he was confused as to why people were getting different 4K 60s, and I said, you do your test, you tell me what you're getting, and he was getting about 50 minutes of 4K 60 straight. So what I'm going to say is if you're shooting 4K up to 30, you shouldn't worry about overheating at all. I streamed for 4 hours on 4K 30 with the A6700. 4K 60, you can start thinking about if you're doing 40, 50 minutes of 4K 60 for whatever reason, maybe, I don't know, you're shooting a wedding, I don't know. But you're going to want to get the FX30 if you're going to do longer than, say, let's be safe, 30 minutes of 4K 60, and 4K 120, you're only going to get about 20 minutes of 4K 120 if you record it straight. So for your average hybrid shooter who wants great video, A6700, absolutely wonderful. Of course, if you're a pro videographer and you're going to be using those high frame rates for long periods of time, you got to go with your FX30, you know? And so, yeah, I just saw that one, and there you go. Oh, see, Alan Jones. So, buddy, I am on it today, man. Look at this. Peripheral, seeing stuff, everything's going great. Question, and he wrote a Q. Apparently it's Q colon. I'm going to let Alan Jones go because it was a super chat, but Q colon helps me see the question, because I used to just type Q for question, and MarineX like, you got to type Q colon, man. And I was like, fine, I did. Okay, on a budget, do you think the Canon R50 or over the ZV-E10? No. Definitely not. And I'm not saying Canon boo, because I like the R10 a lot and the R7. I'll talk about the lenses in a second, the elephant in the room. However, the Canon R50, I have it here somewhere. Where is it? It's here. Well, I can't find it now, but I have a lot of cameras lying around here. But I have the R50 and I've been testing it out. Camera Canada sent it over. I'm having problems with it. Like, it just, aside from the lens selection, which just isn't there, when you're walking with the camera, you're doing vlog type things, it won't keep focus. It just drifts to the background, and I've tried every setting. It didn't happen on the R10. It didn't happen on the R7. So unless I have a faulty unit, which I don't think I do, I just don't like it outside. Stationary on a tripod in the studio, it keeps the eye autofocus. But walking around, I don't know what it is, if the background confuses the camera, but it was drifting in and out, and I want to do a video on it, but I don't want everybody yelling at me that I hate Canon. So I kind of want to maybe have an R10 next to the R50 and say, look, I like the R10, it doesn't do this. The R50 does do this. And more importantly than almost all of that is that the R50 just does not have any lenses. They just don't. They have the kit lenses for the APS-C lineup, and Canon's never been good at creating APS-C lenses. They're the M50 that flew, that did really well because Sigma was providing good lenses for it, and you know, the R mount, like there's the R mount glass, which is big, usually big, heavy, and expensive, and the 16mm 2.8 is available, but that is quite tight on the R50, and it's not a great lens. I have it here to test, and you know, maybe if Canon in the future comes out with lenses, or they open it up to third party, it'll be a very different conversation. Cameras like the R10 and R7 will be absolute heavyweights. Or if you have a lot of R glass already and you don't mind putting the big glass on the little camera, then great. But yeah, it's really disappointing to not be able to recommend Canon, because I it's one thing to go buy the camera body and have this is the price of the camera body, but then when you can't find lenses for it, and for the people who are like, you just adapt EF glass. No, first of all, you got to buy an adapter and then stick that on your little camera. There's still not wide, fast lenses available for the most part for the EF system. It's not for things like this. Like, I know a lot of people watch me for photography. It's a bit different. You are able to do things, but but wide, fast stuff, shooting videos, studio videos, things like that. It's really, and I am assuming that's one of the things you're interested in if you're watching me. So that's why I just can't do it. Now, if you were to ask me what Canon APS-C I prefer the R7. I think that 2 card slots, great stability. Lenses, though, are still going to absolutely be an issue. And there you go. So that's it. I saw some more peripheral stuff here. Okay, we got, let's see. Look, Marinex, make sure you put Q for a question. There you go. He's right. Q for a question. Yeah. And now we got Randall. Okay. For our favorite iced tea. Oh, thanks, Randall. But I tell you, so my favorite apple juice / iced tea is Samuel Adams Boston iced tea. And my local stores, they've all stopped carrying it. Something about, it costs too much money to import it versus how many people are buying it, because apparently it was just me buying it. So now I've had to try to find other things. I'm doing Kilkenny iced tea right now, but it's been rough. But I'm going to use that $20 to experiment with more apple juices / iced teas and see what we can find. Thanks, Randall. Christopher Sanders. Thanks for all your help talking about the ZV-E10 A6700. Do you have any thoughts about lenses for these cameras in the 18 to 135? Okay, so yeah, 1835, fantastic in terms of, you're going somewhere. You're covered for pretty much everything. You still won't be able to vlog, even with the A6700, cropping in 10% on an 18 millimeter lens on an APS-C camera, it's going to be too tight. It's gear acquisition syndrome. But that is a great all around lens. In terms of vlogging, you get the 11 millimeter Sony 11 millimeter 1.8 studio. You get either the Sony 15 1.8 or the Sigma 15 1.4 or the Sigma 16 1.4. That's what we got over here. We got 16 millimeter 1.4 on the FX30. The 15 is also fantastic. I have that here somewhere too. I've lost all of my things. Oh, they're probably on the floor. But the 15, I would recommend the 15 over the 16 if you're someone who's going to do a lot of handheld. Oh, I'm over here. You want to do a lot of handheld video, then the Sony lenses communicate better with that active stabilization than the third-party lenses, I find. So if you're gonna, if you wanted to say vlog with the 15 millimeter, which you can do on the A6700, because it crops in 10%, it's still a little tight, but it's gonna look a lot better on the 15, number one, because it's wider than the 16, and number two, the stability is going to be better. If you're just gonna do talking head studio shots, you're gonna leave it here like I do with the FX30. I think the 16 is the way to go because it's just equal in quality and, you're not carrying it around. You're not worried about stability or the size of it or the aperture ring or the buttons because it's over there. And so what you're looking for is image quality, and the image quality is absolutely phantasmical on that. So that's where I would start when you're talking about photography lenses. Boy, it's just, I love the Tamron 17 to 70 2.8, and I love the Sigma 18 to 50 2.8. Absolutely love those for zooming and all-purpose travel. The Sigma is much smaller and lighter and has macro capabilities. The Tamron gives you a wider range and it has optical stabilization as well, but it's a bigger and heavier lens. So and a little bit more expensive, I believe. So there you go. That is wow, answered just fantastically. I mean, my goodness. Okay, I'm going to type Q for question. What are we doing here? I was thinking, my analytics say I should be live streaming at Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Let me know in the comments, because I will go back and reread a lot of these comments to see, because I like to see what people said in the chat if they're insulting me. And so let me know if a Tuesday at around 10:30 in the morning would be good for you guys, because I kind of like Sunday. It feels like an extra, you know what I mean? Like I do my work in the week, and then my wife takes the kids out for a picnic or something. I don't know what she does with them. Who knows what my family's up to right now? But I kind of find this to be a fun little extra. But if on Tuesday it's gonna like quadruple my numbers, I mean, I'm all about to scratch. You know what I'm saying? All I care about is money. That's all I care about now. Let me see. Okay. I'm kidding, by the way. I don't only care about money. If I cared about money, I wouldn't have been a stand-up comic for, 20 years, and I certainly, 20 years, and I certainly wouldn't be doing YouTube as my alternative to that, so it'd be ridiculous. Okay, so let's go with the cues. Got some more cues here. All right. Look at this. Mr. Camera Junkie, I have. He says, have you seen that Ulanzi fan that can attach to the back? I have, and I've asked for it. And if for some reason they are unable to send it to me, I work with Ulanzi a lot, so I think they should send it to me. They're pretty good about that. And because that's a match made in heaven. They like sending me stuff for review, and I love reviewing it. And then when I promote it, people, when they buy it, they love it. I mean, this F38 system is changed my life. All of the cameras right now are on the F38, just that quick release plate. They're also on Ulanzi tripods. Love them. I use this. Aha. Finally, something I was looking for was on the floor. This Ulanzi little vlogging tripod that can extend. So if you're using, say, the Sony 15mm, then you can hold it out a bit further. Oh, solid built like metal, and that quick release. Love it. So Ulanzi, I feel like I had influence here. So I wrote them because they have a thing where you can collaborate with them on a product. They say, you can go to our website and just tell us your idea and we'll talk to you about it. And my idea was a ZV-E1 cage that had little fans built into it. I still think that's a fantastic idea. But they didn't do that, but they came out with this fan that you put a little adhesive on the back of your camera, and then you can just use little suction cups and it sticks to the back. So I'm going to see how that goes. I don't know how I feel about putting a little adhesive on. It's probably just a little film that you could take off fairly easily. So if that's the case, I'll be okay with it. And that adhesive is, so I'm going to see how that works. Like this current setup where I just have a fan dangling on my Ulanzi tripod is working, and it keeps the ZV-E1 from overheating, but it would be so great if I could just stick that little suction cup thing there, buddy. Oh yeah, Mr. Camera Junkie. That is on the way, my friend. On the way. Okay. Is the Sony 24mm G Master still good pick up at 20? I feel like lag behind in performance compared to the 35 GM I picked up. No, it won't lag. It's just as good. I'm using it right now. It is, so the 24 was as far as I know, it was the first in the, hey, the G Master series has gotten, like, a lot of people were waiting for the 35, and now the 85mm G Master is next in line that people are waiting for. They're all waiting for it to be as good as the 24mm G Master. This lens is not one of the older generation G Master lenses that had a lot of problems. Not a lot of problems, but had some problems. This G Master is on par with their best lenses. It's like they have when they have a Mark II version or a 2 version of their lenses, like they did the 70-200, they have a GM2 now, because the GM1 was getting long in the tooth and wasn't as fast at autofocusing and things like that. This 24mm G Master is not that lens. It is as good as it gets. So yeah, do not worry about it. It's my number one recommendation of a G Master lens if you're doing stuff like this. So I definitely like that. Let's see, super chat. Ed's got a super chat. Thanks, Ed. Oh, look at this. Is that you? Is that? Oh, I'm gonna copy that hairstyle. I just need my hairline to be about this much lower. So let's see. Stupid question from a beginner. There are no stupid questions, although this might be. I haven't read it yet. Order the FX30 with the Siri 24mm. I know that the FX30 supports LUTs, but how do I add film grain right in the camera? You can't. It's not a stupid question, but you know what? You can. See? Look at that. Didn't even answer it right. So you can add film grain in the sense that if you could buy a LUT that had grain in it. I think, though, you'd be better off, you shoot it how you want to shoot it, and you apply the LUT in post, or you can watch the LUT on the screen as is, but not baked in. Just apply the LUT in post and put film grain in post. So you're a beginner, and I know it might sound intimidating. It's really not. You can just do a drop down and select your LUT, and then there it is. And then in Final Cut, DaVinci, Premiere Pro, whatever, they all have film grain as like a thing you can just add. So you just add film grain and then dial in as much as you want. So don't worry too much about that. You are going to have to, of course, this is, which one? This is the Siri right here, the 24mm. Now you're going to have to manually focus with that. I'm sure you know that by now. And then but it will look fantastic on the FX30. And then just apply your LUT. You can apply your LUT to look at your footage on your screen, but I would never bake it in. I would just do it in post, apply the LUT, and then apply the film grain, and then you will be fine and dandy. Yeah, just do it a few times. You'll figure it out. You'll see. What is that? Is my email going off? Don't go off, email. Stop that. Okay. Q question. Okay. Will the rumored A7C II, if it has the same sensor, have just as bad rolling shutter? I mean, like, again, I don't know if that's even coming out. They haven't told me anything. But I will say that if it has the same sensor as the A7 IV, I'm going to assume that will have the same rolling shutter. I mean, I don't know if AI or if it has the same sensor and same processor, I don't see how it could have better rolling shutter. But we'll see. Maybe they'll up the processor game and the readout speed or something. But yeah, because if it has the same rolling shutter, it's certainly going to be, people are going to complain about it. I'll tell you that much. But listen, I own the A7 IV and I love it. It's my favorite camera overall in the world. And I don't have a problem with the rolling shutter. I move the camera around. I do things. I mean, it's doesn't have global shutter and it doesn't have FX3's shutter, but I have never noticed it. I've never had a problem. Like when you get a ZV-E10, you can, rolling shutter, like you can definitely see it. A6400, you can definitely see it. A7 IV, I'm like, it's same with like the A7 III, A7C. They all have about the same rolling shutter. Panasonic S5 II, S5 IIX, same rolling shutter as the A7 IV. So it's not that it's overblown, but a lot of people don't need such fantastic rolling shutter the way they think they might until you go shoot some stuff. And if you're shooting a lot of golf swings and you're shooting trains going by, super fast, it's quite possible that with what you're shooting, there'll be an issue. You shoot a lot of high action sports and video and stuff. It could be an issue for sure. But on the A7 IV, you can go into APS-C crop mode, and then the rolling shutter is actually quite good. So A7C II would probably have the same thing. But to answer it in a nutshell, if it has the same sensor and processor, I mean, it is a gonna. And it will definitely be one of those YouTube talking points where people get in that groupthink, and then they all start saying the same thing. And like with that A6700, when that came out, everybody's going bananas about it overheats. It's like, okay, did you try it though? If you can do 4K 30 unlimited, 4K 60 for 40, 50 minutes, I mean, are you sure that, and it's such a good hybrid camera for a reasonable price that isn't being billed as a world's most professional video camera? I think people need to dial it back a little bit when it comes to that. And now, when you're talking about an A7 IV and you're talking about $2,500, I can understand people wanting a better rolling shutter. but everything has drawbacks, like that's it. To get 33 megapixels, to get, the different bells and whistles that it has, the sensor readout speed isn't necessarily going to be, fast enough for some people. But then you got to bite the bullet and get that FX3. It's all trade-offs. Okay, so we have, Matt. What you doing, Matt? USB power versus dummy battery for the ZV E10, ZV-1F. Any thoughts which is better? Does one have drawbacks? Okay, so, they both have drawbacks in some ways, in that you have to plug in your dummy battery into something. So either you're plugging it into, a V-mount battery, or you're plugging it into the wall or an outlet like I'm doing right now. You have cords running from your camera to the floor. That's a bit inconvenient. However, what's even less convenient for me, and why I bought the dummy batteries, is connecting to USB-C. I either have to run that from the camera to the floor or to a V-mount battery, and then and I don't have a ton of super long USB-C cords, and the location of the USB-C cord is going to be on the camera next to your screen that is flipped out, and so the dummy battery's out of the way. So me, personally, I prefer, if you're going to be in a studio and you're just going to leave it plugged in, I think the dummy battery is a better way to go, because there's less things in your way, less things plugged in on the side next to the camera's screen, and it's you don't have to, the cord is long enough. You don't have to worry about rigging it up or putting your USB thing on top of your camera or whatever you're using. So that's my thought. My thought is, after using both, I found the dummy battery to be more convenient, personally. So there you go, Matt. Thanks for the super chat. Very nice of you. Mark. Oh, what a name on this guy, Mark. Am I right? Mark Chavez. Oh, that's a better name, though. Mark Chavez. Wish I had an exotic name. Mark Bennett. I sound like I look a very pasty pink guy whose ancestors go back to Ireland and England. Hi, I'm Mark Bennett. Let's see. I have the Sony FX30. And I'm planning to get a new lens for filming. Should I get the Nightwalker 24 or the Sigma 23 1.4? That is a great question. And the answer is, of course, the basic answer is, if you need autofocus, the 23. The 23 optically is a more perfect lens. And it's got that great autofocus. And you can... I would prefer to have the Sigma 23 because I rely on autofocus. One of the great things about Sony cameras is you can really rely on the autofocus in professional environments. So I would lean towards the Sigma 23 if you're talking about general shooting. Now, when you're talking about becoming a filmmaker, if you're like a Mata Hapoya is trying to do, you're talking about putting things on rails, getting follow focuses, getting matte boxes, shooting documentaries. These Cine lenses, they have a purpose there. It has a bit of a different look. It has the it's not so clinically sharp, and it has these teeth here for the follow focus, and then the T1.2 is even brighter than a very bright 1.4, but still T1.2. So, but manually focusing is not a picnic. It takes some time, and you come back with a lot less shots than you would if you were just using the autofocus and tapping on the screen. So what I'm saying to you is, if you're newer, err on the side of the autofocus lens. Usually when people pick up Cine lenses, it's when they know what they want. They know, listen, I'm shooting this music video. I want the control of my own focus. I want to make the guy's face go in and out, like if I'm focusing on the booty popping, then I want to go back to the background for a plant. I don't know why you would make that transition, stay on the booty popping, but then you have full manual control. And like I said, you can put them on those rigs and get the follow focuses. So those are for those people. And if you're like me and a lot of people, and using your shooting online content, and maybe you're even doing documentaries and things like that, it's just so nice to have a very, very reliable, perfectly reliable autofocus on a lens. So that's what I would say. So most people would be far better off with the Sigma 23, but for those doing the cinema, they're going to end up getting Cine lenses. So there you go, Mark. Fantastic name. Okay, Q. Question. Oh, I forgot my coffee is over here. I need to take a sip of something, and this is going to be cold and bitter. Oh, like my wife's kisses. Cold and bitter. I'm kidding. Me and my wife, we get along great. And it's actually pretty warm. Nice and warm. Like my wife's kisses. Okay, so here we go. What's next with the chat? We got, look at this. Tamron 1770 versus Sigma. I'm on a budget, and I have the 50mm 1.8 16-50 kit. Man, you helped me decide, get my little Doug. Well, I'm going to say Sigma 6. It depends, of course. Sigma 16 is, once again, over here on the Beauty FX30. Love the Sigma 16 1.4. Such a great studio lens, so great in low light, and since the the 50mm so much tighter. You have nothing wide enough if you're going to be doing close-up work when you have you have the kit lens, but the kit lens is 3.5mm, and it's not the highest quality of lens. You're talking about getting a new one. So the Tamron 17-70 will definitely replace your kit lens. However, and it's great for photos, and you can do a 2.8 you can definitely get away with in a studio, but it's just, I find people are very wowed when they get a Sigma 16mm for their talking heads, their interviews, their YouTube, like this level of angle. People are really blown away by what that 1.4 gives you versus a 2.8. So for a general shooter, you want to do a lot of photos and a lot of video, and you never know what you're going to use. Tamron 1770 is definitely great. If what you're talking about is mostly online content creation and interviews and things where you're sitting about 3 feet from your camera, then I would do the Sigma 16 1.4 and to get that 3D pop, like old Camera Conspiracies likes to say. Even though I don't think he loves Sigma lenses, but I think he just hasn't tried enough of them. Or maybe he has. I don't know. He's very specific. He's a very specific man, a hilarious man who's very specific. He's got his own ideas of what he'd like to do. All right, so let me type in my okay, so I got everybody here. That's good. And now I'll go to Q's again. Q colons. All right. And now listen, if I don't get to your question, then write it in the comments after the video is posted. I'll leave up the live stream, and I'll answer it in the thing. I mean, I don't have any kind of life. I obsess over the YouTube comments, and I read them all, and I try to answer everything I can. Even though the channel is getting very popular, I'm still doing my best to answer all of the comments. So this, where some of the answers are long-winded and I sometimes ramble because I'm a fool, then just write it in the comments below. And when the video is over, or I'll because when they're in the super chat and the video is over, I can't really responding to that is different. So it would be better if you just wrote it as a comment. So if I don't get to the question, write it again in the comment section of the video when it's up. Okay, and let's see. That is the A-Team. I don't know why. When I do my live streams, I'm always singing the A-Team. No idea. My current gear's M50 with the Sigma 16mm. Yeah, see, because Canon, the M50, that really shined with that Sigma 16mm. Planning to get the ZV-1 Mark II or the E10. However, looks like it's getting old. Is it a good time to buy? No, it's still a good time to get that, in my opinion. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, but Sony usually waits 4 years to update a camera, and like all of these updates that are coming, They're like 4 years, and it's only been 2. I mean, it feels like it's been a long time with the ZV-E10, but it hasn't been. It's only been 2, so for sure not until next year, in my opinion, and probably not until the year after. So probably 2 more years. And look, and when things are good, they're good. You know, like you will still get amazing 4K image in 2030 out of the ZV-E10. It's already, see, the M50, it is just, it crops in 4K and it loses its phase detect autofocus in 4K. So that one is, and Canon killed the M mount. They don't make lenses for it anymore. So that is too old now. Like you if you want to upgrade to 4K and stuff, then you have to do something else. And the M line is no longer with us, unfortunately. So the ZV-E10 is going to take the E-mount lenses. You're still going to get a great image. And so if your budget is ZV-1 Mark II or ZV-E10, and like if you're used to the M50 Sigma 16mm, I don't think you'll be super satisfied with the ZV-1 Mark II because you're never going to get that look that this is over here. So I'm glad you're here because I'm often throwing to you Sigma 16mm. You can get your Sigma 16mm 1.4, slap that on your ZV-E10, and then you will immediately get a fantastic bump from your M50 because now you're in 4K shooting with that great eye autofocus and a very great Sigma lens. So that is what I'll say to you. The ZV-1 Mark II is a great little camera, but it's great for travel and compact and light. But it sounds like with that M50 Sigma 16mm, that wasn't what you were doing. So go ZV-E10 and then get yourself a Sigma 16mm f1.4. Bring them right back, man. That's what I would do. And okay, so let's see. Camera Marine X, buddy, you were right, man. Having it over here with the old, fantastic. I can see things popping up. I'm not going to have another David moment where, I miss something important. Okay, so Nick says, what APS-C lenses have 3D pop, in your opinion? Have you tried the Zeiss lens? Okay, so I mean, I think that Camera Conspiracies, he sees what he sees. I don't always see exactly what he's talking about with the 3D pops and whatnot. But some lenses do seem to have, more of a pop than others. But what I will say, you're going to get, you're going to notice more of that 3D pop with faster lenses. So overall, whether it's, look, if you had a Zeiss lens that was a 2.8 and a Sigma that was a 16mm 1.4, you're dialing them down to the lowest aperture they can, you're going to see way more pop, in my opinion, 3D pop, if this is, vaguely speaking. You're going to see much more background separation, and you're going to be separated from the background like I am here with this 24mm, 1.4. You're going to get so much more separation from the background, and that will give you much more of a 3D look than a higher f-stop. So what I would say is look for, especially with APS-C cameras, look for the lowest f-stop that you can get. And normally I would say 1.4, but look at this. This Viltrox is a 1.2, but that's better for photos. You're going to have to be about 40 feet from your camera to get this angle with this lens. So it is way more for photos. And I would say that you look at your Sigma 1.4s, look at your Sony 1.8, your Sony 1.4s. So that's what I would say. For 3D pop, and you're talking video, I'm loving around the 16mm for APS-C because that's 24mm full frame equivalent in terms of cameras in the same spot, in terms of field of view. So I would do that. Now, if you like a 35mm look, maybe then you could get a 35. Get the 23 1.4 from Sigma as well. And so yeah, that's what I would say, Nick. That's what I would say. Okay. Okay, we got Super Chat from Writing. Hi, Mark. I got it now. Someone said, are you sick of the The Room jokes. And I was like, The Room? What's he talking about? What's wrong with my room? And he meant the movie The Room, where the guy goes, oh, hi, Mark. But I haven't seen that meme in a while, so it didn't clue in. Now I do. Oh, hi, Mark. You know, people say, are you sick of it? Honestly, for whatever reason, nobody ever said that to me, except occasionally in a YouTube chat. But I guess a lot of people don't like to converse with me, so that makes perfect sense. Okay, most Sony APS-Cs have the old Bion X processors and can only do 4K 30 with a 1.23 times crop. Should I pick up a Viltrox 13mm on 30 over the Sigma 15? By the way, is 30 better for online content? Okay. Slot to unpack. All right, so the new ones, okay, you're saying the old ones, yeah, have a bit of a crop in 4K 30. So yeah, I mean, if you're going to shoot 4K 30, then the Viltrox 13, it would be wider than the Sigma 16 or the Sony 15, but I would shoot 24. I like the 24. The only time I use 30 is when I stream. To me, it's nice that it's smooth on the stream, but it looks a little soap opera-like to me, to my eyes. It's just like all TV and movies and everything. They're still like 24. You still have, you know, a little bit of motion blur. And also with the older Sony cameras, like say the ZV-E10, you will keep your eye autofocus connected to an HDMI out. Whereas if you're using 4K 30, you're going to lose your eye autofocus if you're connected to that HDMI port on the ZV-E10. So that's yet another reason I like to use 24 frames per second on those. But yeah, of course. I mean, and the Viltrox 13 is amazing. So if you're looking for a slightly wider, don't hesitate. Absolutely wonderful lens. And especially if you want to shoot. You know, is it better for online content? Like I was saying, I don't think so. I think that the video, we're just so used, almost a lot of the YouTubers do the 30, unless they're streaming like video games and stuff. Most of what you're seeing is 24, so or 25 if you're not in North America. And I think that's more what people expect. And if you're shooting in 30, it's going to look a little bit different, more like a video camera from back in the day or a soap opera. So that's what I would say to that. Let's see. Oh, Matt. Okay. I have 4 little doggies on a studio desk. I want to upgrade the lens for depth. Any cost-effective solutions other than the Sigma 16 1.4? Well, we just talked about one. The Viltrox 13 1.4 is phenomenals. Now, there are some manual lenses that you will be able to pick up. The TT Artisan had a 23 millimeter 1.4, but like you're gonna have to manually focus. But since you got 4 set up, maybe if you want to set up some, you can look into some manual lenses. I have some videos on my channel about some of the manual lenses that you might want. I'll try to post a link below. But if you're okay with shooting manual focus, so like you set up your shot, I don't know, put a little dummy or whatever in your chair, or a little probably be better to have some kind of, where is it? My God, I have nothing here today. A little chart, you know, okay, forget it. Have a little focus chart. I could have just said it. A little focus chart dangling from a string where your face is going to be, whatever. And then you manually dial in your focus. Come back over, sit down, maybe have your main angle as an autofocus lens so that you always have that to back up to. And then, but yeah, I think the most cost-effective thing to do is to buy 2 or 3 manual focus lenses, go through the, you know, pain in the butt of setting them up manually, and then go with that. Now, if you're going autofocus lenses, no, the Sigma 16 is going to be your best deal, and the Viltrox 13 is not too far behind. So yeah, in terms of, you know, actual value, okay, and that's good. Okay, so Matt, how much time? Oh, 12:25. We're not too bad. It's not too bad here. How many people we got here? We have a little less people than usual. Got 100 people. Had 130 last time, but you know, it's like anything in life. Once people get to know me a little bit, they stop hanging out with me. That's what happens. So let's see. Boo, 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 boo. Okay, Rode Streamer X or Elgato for HDMI one camera setup. Okay, so what I'll say is the Elgato, if you're going to plug in the external mic to your camera, then the Elgato is going to be cheaper. And I find that, like, okay, so here, I'll put them both up on screen. Okay, so got the okay, Streamer X. But you. Okay, so to me, you see that, like, the Elgato to me looks, that's my main angle's Elgato, and then this one is the Streamer X. The Streamer X, I feel like it needs a firmware update because, as you can see, it's a little bit more stuttery than the Elgato. Now, the reason I love the Streamer X, though, is that my mic is a Rode NTG3, so it's a XLR mic. So I plug the XLR mic into the Rode Streamer X. So I'm using both right now. But if you were to ask me which one, I would say, though, the Elgato is cheaper, and if you don't need that XLR connection, or you don't need those extra pads, like the Streamer X has little buttons that you can press to add in sound effects and different sounds and things. And I'm going to get into that soon when I become the #1 streamer in the world. But I would think that the Elgato is just a cheaper solution, and then you just got one cord going from your camera into the HDMI port of the Elgato, and then you stick that into your computer, and you are good to go. And like I said, the video seems a tad smoother, at least for now. I'm confident that Rode is going to make theirs a little bit smoother with some updates. But yeah, so in a nutshell, if you're not using an XLR mic, I think the Elgato is probably a more sensible thing to get, Do you guys know Kyle Dunnigan? And he does that Sylvester Stallone, Hey, I love Kyle Dunnigan. He's a very underrated comedian. Very, very funny. Big online presence these days. So he's probably watching the stream. Hey, Kyle, how are you? Let's see. Okay. Will I do tutorials on USB microphones and camera setups for streaming and conference calls? Probably not. I don't do a lot of USB microphones, but, audio hotline. Just so this Bronson, he runs a channel called Audio Hotline. Go there. Curtis Judd is also just wonderful at audio. So go to the Audio Hotline channel, and Bronson tests pretty much everything that comes out on the market. So he's done all the USB mics, things like that. So and Curtis Judd often tests everything too. So Curtis Judd, Audio Hotline, those would be the guys that would really help you with the camera setups and streaming as well. Mr. Camera Junkie does a lot of eCam stuff, so he probably has some stuff about streaming and conference calls. So check out Mr. Camera Junkie. He's one of the moderators of this fancy little stream, okay? So let's see. What else we got here in the questions? We got Did I get those? Yeah. Okay, and my A cam is the ZV E10 Sigma 18 to 50. My B cam is the iPhone 13 Pro. Short of another Dougie, is there another option you would recommend around $400? Probably the ZV-1F. Like, I own that camera. Mr. Camera Junkie, as I just mentioned him, he streams with the ZV-1F. It has contrast-based autofocus, but honestly, it works fantastic. I don't know why the Sony contrast works better than, say, the Panasonic one, but it does. And so you can get that usually around $400, especially on a sale. And in terms of background separation, it might not be that much different than the iPhone 13 Pro, but with those color picture profiles, the HLG3s, to be able to do Cine 2s, you'll be able to match it so much easier to a ZV E10. I would look at that. Honestly, it's that would be... I mean, I did buy it, and I do own it, and Mr. Camera Junkie uses his all the time. It's one of those... That's one of the reasons I think people are like, oh, that ZV-1F, boo, everyone's going to hate that. Not everybody is looking always for, the most expensive camera, they want a supplement, something that, you know, like this. You say, what can I do for $400 where that can match up my ZV-E10? The ZV-1F. That's what I'm saying to you. ZV-1F, give it a try. You can buy it on Amazon, and if you don't like it, just ship it back. But if, you know, especially I like to use it on the Cine 2 profile and use the Leeming LUT on that, or the HLG3 in the Leeming LUT, and then it looks just like my ZV-E10 footage. So, you know, go for it. That's what I would do. I phones, you know, they're great in many ways, but in like a studio setting, I find that the phones have trouble really dialing in a nice picture with the studio lights, and you know, because you can get, you know, the different apps where you can control different things on the phone, but then, and I don't like using my phone because my phone is ringing and it has other things and fills up with apps and God knows what else. I also have the iPhone 13 Pro. I have it right here in the old pocket, and I don't use it for any of my video except, you know, family stuff with the kids and whatnot. But that's what I would say. ZV-1F. Let's see. Okay, you guys like this? The dead silence while I type and try to figure out what people have said? I think you would. Why wouldn't you? Okay. Q for question. Now, let's see. Where are we? I'm trying to go back through the questions and get to as many as I can, and so I might not be getting some of the newer ones, but okay, have I used on-camera flash? Yes, I have. It works fine. Works like any of the other Sony cameras. Look at this. I'll contradict myself. Things Katie makes. I just picked the newest question just because I felt like I should do a few new ones. I have the Sony ZV-1F and the ZV-E10. Which would you use for an overhead shot and for a talking head shot while streaming? Yeah, I mean, not either. They will both work as Mr. Camera Junkie shows. ZV-1F can be great at streaming. I would probably still use the ZV-1F as the overhead. It's smaller and it's lighter, and because it's contrast based, if you're gonna, you know, rely on the autofocus for one of the cameras, you might as well rely on the phase detect autofocus of the ZV-E10. I would put the ZV-1F up there and do the ZV-E10. However, there is one caveat, is that the ZV-E10 loses its eye autofocus streaming in 30. So if you're streaming in 30, then, and you put your hands in the screen like this, then it might latch to your hands. And the ZV-1F, I actually don't know. I haven't tested that. Maybe Mr. Camera Junkie can let us know. Mr. Camera Junkie, does it have eye autofocus in the ZV-1F when you're connected to 30p? Because if so, that's a compelling reason. So basically what I've done is not helped you at all. Not proud of myself, but that's what's happened. But basically, overall, I would use the ZV-E10 as my main angle. That's what I would say. Oh, Melissa, super chat, too kind. When did you first start loving cameras? I was in my late 40s. I feel late to the game. I think a BTS of running vlogs would be great. Yes, I look awfully stupid running around doing my vlogs. And yeah, my wife should film me one day just humiliating myself in the park for you people and your tests. And of course the Google ad revenue. But I was in my late 30s when I started liking cameras, because what happened was my wife was pregnant with our first child, and everybody told me, listen, don't do what everyone does and go buy a camera. You'll take terrible photos of your kid. Go hire a professional. Get them to shoot your baby photos. Stay away from the cameras. So I immediately went and bought a camera because that's how I am. And I got the Panasonic G7. My wife had a high-risk pregnancy, so we had to see these specialists, and the appointments would be like 4 hours long. So 4 hours to wait for the specialist to come in. So I used that time to research on YouTube. And at the time, the GH4 was out shooting the 10-bit 422 on the Panasonic, and they came out with the G7, which was the little brother to the GH4, and I was watching Max Yuriev doing side-by-side comparisons. You see, I do those things now, and so I loved those videos. And I was like, you could get like the image of a GH4 out of a little G7 that cost $700. Maybe I should. And then I got that. And then my footage came out terrible because I didn't know what I was doing, all shaky and stuff, because it doesn't have any stabilization. I didn't know anything about anything. And so that was 7 years ago, I guess. And that's when I really got into it. So I'm pretty late to the game for photos as well. That's why I'm not the world's best photographer. I'm learning. Video, since I was doing stand-up, I was on TV sets. I took film courses. I have more of a background in video, but the mirrorless camera thing has only been like 7 years. So I used to rent bigger cameras, or I'd be on sets with people with real deal cameras. So I knew a little bit more about video. But when it came to me buying my own, I got the Panasonic G7 about 7 years ago. And it's been, ever since, it's just been an obsession ever since. Don't worry about it. Like, that's the thing. You say you're in your late 40s. That's one of the things that got me most excited about cameras. I was like, this is something I can do till I'm dead, like, not to be morbid, but like my wife always likes to travel. And I was like, traveling, boo, I like sitting. But now I'm like, you know what? If we did travel to that place, I could take some photos. And it makes me jazzed about going places. And it makes me think, like, your life doesn't have to end, when your kids grow up and you retire and whatever. You can just, and also I might not have to retire. I might just keep doing this nonsense. And I can go to wherever I travel, take a camera with me, create, make art, be an important person in the world who puts out art and just doesn't consume, also produces. But no, seriously, I love all that. So late 40s, late to the game. No way, man. You just man. I call everyone man. Melissa, this is a great thing to get into now because, as we get older, this will be a thing that you can do, and it'll always be a passion of yours. So whenever you get into photography, it's the right time. That's what I have to say about that. Okay. Like, Peter Gregg, if you guys don't know Peter Gregg, he's a lovable guy. He does the Christmas Room, and he is, he's certainly older than I am and older than you, Melissa, and he's loving his YouTube life. So, it's, Okay, I think Man of the Meeple. I have a ZV-E10. I take some photos, but do way more video. Is there a reason to get the A6700 instead of the FX30? I'm ready to upgrade. Well, the reason would be photos, mostly. But like, honestly, the FX30 still takes one frame instead of a burst rate, and it's in electronic shutter. So you're definitely never going to be able to take sports photography unless you really nail that shot. And it's also got rolling shutter because it's electronic. So if it's a fast-moving object, you may see a slanted line, something like that. But it takes it'll take the same looking photo as the A6700. Like right now, I'm still waiting for my A6700 to show up. So with the Viltrox, I've been using the ZV-E10 and the FX30. I might as well talk about them. I'm going to talk about them. I'll look at them. I've been using the FX30, and it's been taking great photos. So if you do way more video, I think the FX30 is a better idea because you get the 2 card slots. You have the the fan to prevent the overheating in case you do want to do those high frame rates for long periods of time. It's got the better body. So the reason you might want to consider the A6700 is that 4K 30 streaming, if you want to do it that way, straight from the USB-C, and it's a smaller, lighter camera, so if you're running around on gimbals, it might be a bit better. That EVF really does help when it comes to photos. You can just put it up to your eye and not worry about that bright screen. As I'm taking photos with the FX30, that has been one of the problems, as good as the screen is. So I've been using that little viewfinder that you hold up to the screen to do that. So those are about $30, but they're not that convenient. You got to pull them out of the bag, you got to hold it up to the back of the camera and then take the photo that way. But if you do a lot of video and you have the budget for the FX30, then overall it's going to be a better video camera for you. Don't forget too, it can output RAW. So if you start to really up the game and you want to start shooting in ProRes RAW, then there you go. FX30, that's the one for you. I would do that. I mean, it just depends on how disappointed you would be with the photo element. That's about the only thing. But yeah, if someone were to say to me, I don't really do photos, which one you get the FX30. But if they're saying I do some photos, then it depends on how many photos you do and what type of photos you do. It's nice to have the options, I'll tell you that much. Do you think it's okay to power the FX30 with a dummy battery? I like the convenience of turning my camera on and off with all the lights, etc. I say, well, it better be. It better be okay, because I'm doing it right now. You know, if you're going to stream for like more than an hour, your battery's going to run out. Streaming will take a lot of juice from your battery, so you do the dummy battery thing. And I do that, and a lot of people do that. So don't worry about the dummy battery. You know, I get the one from Newer. That one's fine, and it's been working for a couple of weeks now. So I only bought them recently, but yeah, I mean, I'm also thinking about having a studio set up where I just go in and press a switch and everything comes on, including the cameras, and that would be very, very convenient, I gotta say. So yeah, dummy battery, go for it, man. Do it. Now let me just type this in. Oops, typed it in the wrong section. Okay, we're still good. Cues. All right, got my cues. Let's see. I see Mr. Camera Junkie. I'm looking at the comments on my iPad. See Mr. Camera Junkie and Marine X. They're doing their best to satisfy you guys. I appreciate those guys helping out. Very cool of them to do so. Okay, if I had a $300 budget for a used camera body, what should I go for? Yikes. Oh, that's tough. $300 is not a lot right now for cameras. I would say, honestly, the camera... So the ZV-1F, once again, is a pretty good camera for about $400. If you could maybe get a Panasonic G7, you might be able to find that for $300, but it's tough. It's pretty low for a camera. If other people have suggestions, let Paul know, because I can't think of any of because there's DSLRs and stuff like that, but even them, it's hard to find, say, $300 for a budget camera because I think about shooting 4K, and so the Panasonic G7, it's great, but it doesn't have stabilization, and you have to manually focus, which I did for a couple of years with that camera. And so you sit in your studio, you open the app, you press tap to focus on the app, and it puts you in focus, and it's a great image. So, but it does require manual focus. In photos, it doesn't. In photos, it takes great photos with great autofocus. But yeah, that's what I would do. But yeah, to get as low as $300 is not going to be easy. The closest you're going to find is probably the ZV-1F if you're talking Sony. And if you're talking Canon, it's possible you'll find an M50, but then you're going to be shooting 1080, which, you know, but yeah. Yeah, so that's what I would say. ZV-1F, Panasonic G7, if you want 4K, nice 4K. If you're okay with 1080, see if you can find a Canon M50 for $300. But then, you know, you need a lens too. So with the ZV-1F, you don't need a lens. So, and you do with all of the other things I mentioned. So try to find a ZV-1F for as low price as you can. But yes, probably still going to look at $300 would be my guess with that. Okay. Okay, so what kind of capture card are you currently using? That is up on the screen. There. Streamer X and the Canon 4K. Okay, that was an easy one. I had that one ready to go. Okay. Bought the ZV E10 after watching your videos on a loop. Of course, we should all watch my videos on a loop. I'm going to go travel with friends. I don't want to carry too much equipment. A one-fits-all lens. Yes, Tamron 1770 f2.8. That's what I would get. That fits all. That's the best overall lens to do everything, because that 2.8 is pretty good for light. 17 is pretty wide. 70 is plenty tight to get portrait shots. Get that nice blurry background at 2.8 at 70 millimeters. Tamron 1770. Friends and family. Okay. Do you think the Sigma 18 to 50 can replace the 16 mil and the 56 1.4? Thanks. I don't. The 18 to 50 is great, and it can take good portraits at 2.8 at 50 millimeters, and 18 is fairly wide, but it's just like the difference between the 1.4 and the 2.8 is pretty massive. The background separation and the light it lets in. If you were to ask me, do I want one 18 to 50 or those two lenses, I would take those two lenses. But I'm like a bit of a bokeh snob, and I don't do, the zoom is not, even when I'm taking photos, you know, like I either like wide 16 or I do 56 for portraits, and I prefer doing that. But I love the 18 to 50, and if I am traveling as light as I can, man, that's great. Stick that on your APS-C camera and then just go, and you're covered, and it's going to get magnificent photos. And if you're doing landscapes, you don't need that 1.4, you know, and if you wanted to do the occasional portrait, 2.8 at 50 millimeters is still going to look pretty good. But if you're talking about overall wow factor when you're taking headshots of people or you're doing studio work, the 16 and 56 with those 1.4s is just so... It's hard to beat that for me. But I'm more of a prime lens guy, you know? Okay, we're going to wrap it up in about 10 minutes, everybody. This time I'm actually going to stay true to the time. Okay. Okay, is the SanDisk Extreme Pro V30 200 millimeters enough for the best resolution? No. If you're going to do 4K 120, you're going to need more than that. You want to get yourself a V90 card for 4K 120. You're going to be able to do 4K 30, but for the higher frame rates, you need better. And I think you need at least the V60 for 4K 60. If I'm not mistaken, and for 4K 120, yeah, you go get yourself. Personally, I'm doing the Sony Tough Cards because the other ones have broken apart on me after a couple of years. Even the SanDisk Extreme Pro, unfortunately, it's just but I'm in and out. Like I do a lot of swapping of memory cards, and Macs for some reason they have a really tight, no jokes, everybody, a really tight slot for the SD cards, and I thought it was just my old 2019 iMac, but I got this new MacBook Pro, the brand new one with the M2 Pro chip, and still the SD card slot is so tight. I have to put the card in a couple of times. I think that might be what is making some of my cards more brittle, but the Sony Tough Cards are so tough, and they're made of a much stronger material and then I get the V90 versions. It costs a little bit more, well, a fair bit more, but it's worth it for me after breaking a few cards and ruining a Nikon Z30 with regular SD cards. What I do now is I try to buy V90 cards, Tough Cards when I buy cards, and you know, I don't buy as many SD cards as I used to, but when I buy them, like the Sekis, when I buy them, I try to buy one that's good. And they're all good, but, you know, one that can handle high frame rates and high data rates and also can be tough, you know? So that's it right there. Okay, now I'll just type in this again just to make sure we got everybody. We did. Okay, so cues. All right, where are we? In our queues. Best 85 millimeter for Sony full frame. Well, the 85 1.8 is the best deal. It's not the best lens because it costs, you know, not that much relative to Sony full frame glass. So you get, you know, it's like $600 or $700, maybe $600, and then you get a 1.8 85 millimeter full frame with a great image. However, you know, I think the Sony G Master, it needs to be updated. So I wouldn't get that one. I wouldn't get the 85. The Sigma 85 is, most people say, the art lens, the Sigma 85 art. That's people's favorite 85 on the Sony full frame system. If you survey most portrait photographers, I mean, I don't know that for a fact, but from all of the knowledge I have of people with an 85 millimeter, the Sigma 85 art is one of their favorite. But I just bought the 85 1.8. It's actually, I think, my first lens because I wanted that to get that wow factor of having a full frame camera with my A7 III and having a 1.8 at 85, and it still works. I might upgrade to the 85 Sony G Master when they upgrade that. But in the meantime, yeah. So I would say start with the 85 1.8 and see if that fits the bill for you. And then if not, then you might have to step up in price to the Sigma art lens. You know what, Manuel, I see some channels that use it in S-Log3. Is it really unusable, or you can get by with that? I'm actually going to do a video. Because you can. I mean, it's just since I've been testing a lot of the cameras together, sometimes I just throw on the S-Log3 on the ZV-E10 just to see, and you can do it. You really can. Here's the thing though. You have to nail your white balance and you have to nail your exposure. And if you do that, definitely it can match like your your A7 IV's S-Log3 footage, and it's still not 10-bit. And so once you go to color grade, skin is gonna get like weird purple blotches and crap like that. So it is usable, but you can only, so for me, what I do is I light it perfectly, get my zebras at 85 on my face for my leaming LUT, and then I white balance manually, and then I just apply a leaming LUT and I add a little bit of contrast, and then you can get away with it. But if your lighting and your white balance isn't great and you try to start color grading that S-Log3 in 8-bit, it's gonna be a mess. But usable. Gonna do a video on it. I think it will be a video that people will watch, actually. There you go. So let's see. Okay, we got 5 minutes left, let's say. Let's call it 5 minutes. That's a good question, Clow. Is the A6700 more bang for buck than... Oh, I thought you were saying ZV-E10. Oh, this is an easy one. Yes, the A6700 is definitely way more bang for buck than the ZV-E1 because you get a viewfinder, you get more megapixels, you get the less overheating, but it's a far better hybrid camera in terms of your photos. It costs like $800 less. You can get APS-C lenses, which like the Sony 11 and cheaper APS-C lenses. And so it's more, the ZV-E1 is great and it creates a great image, as you can see. I know I'm here, but it creates a great image and it's great. But the overheating's an issue, and the no viewfinder is a pain in the butt. And the A6700 certainly more bang for buck, but it doesn't mean it's better for you than the ZV-E1. There are people like Bronson from Audio Hotline just bought the ZV-E1 because, like me, he wanted to use 4K 120 in some darker situations for some B-roll, and he also wanted that dynamic stabilization. And so when you're doing, when you're talking about stuff like that, then yeah, and don't forget low light in general. It's a low light monster. So if you're vlogging out in the nighttime or you're taking your camera out late at night, then the ZV-E1. But from a value perspective, yeah, for sure. For shearsers. Okay, so best entrance music in the WWE currently? Oh man, it's gotta be the Demon Finn Balor. It's just I only know this because my kids are watching wrestling intros, and my boy bought the new wrestling game, and he always wants to be the Demon Finn Balor. So I think the Finn Balor is just so majestic. That's my favorite. I used to love Vampiro back when I was young, and I like Jeff Hardy's music, the Hardy Boys, when that was going on. The Undertaker, of course, Funeral March. Who can complain about that? And who has another good one? Oh, like Seth freaking Rollins. He's so much fun, I love Seth freaking Rollins. And but yeah, that's just from me watching the intros from my son. So oddly, I had an answer to that question, if you can believe it. Okay, I think I had one of your questions before, but I'll just a good mic on a budget. That Deity D3 Pro, hook that into your the Rode Video Mic Go is also pretty good, but the Deity D3 Pro is, I think, the best bang for buck in terms of a shotgun mic that you're going to plug into your camera. So yeah. How many gigabytes do I need for filming a wedding? It really depends on how your resolution and your bit rate. So your card will tell you. You format your card, look at your camera, and it will tell you how long you have. It'll say, yeah, you have 1 hour and 30 minutes. Is your wedding longer than that? Hopefully not, because that would be super boring. So, and it depends, yeah, so 128 gigs should get you on the A6700. I got more than 2 hours of shooting on the A6700, but then the battery died, so I actually don't know. It depends, like I said, because some of the cameras will have like a 400 megabits per second, and some will have 100. So it really depends. Just check your camera. What picture profile am I currently using? Lewis, well, I'm using S-Log3 on both cameras. S-Log3 and let's put up this one too. Streamer X, S-Log3 on the FX30, S-Log3 on the ZV-E10, and I've applied the Paul Leeming LUT into my Ecamm software, and I added a little bit of contrast, and that is it, man. That's what I'm doing. Okay, so let's take the Streamer X down, and 3 more minutes. 3 more minutes till showtime. Saw your rig mount for the ZV-E10. Can it replace a gimbal? No, absolutely not. That thing it's for like all day power and having, different things on set that you might want near your camera. Like you want your external monitor, you want your V-mount plugged in, or your NPF batteries plugged in so that it can keep running. The rails is just to support it all because it's weight, but you put it on a bigger tripod like this thing over here. This is one of my small rig heavy duty tripods. You put that on the Freeblazer or the AD01, and that's what that's for. And you could also make a shoulder rig if you wanted, but it's nowhere near going to be anywhere near as stable as a gimbal. Definitely can't. No. So let's see. What is the best lens for outdoor interviews and landscapes on the ZV-E10? Guys, anyone else want a Sigma 16mm 1.4? Go for that. Go for that. You can do your landscapes and you can do outdoor interviews. 16mm 1.4, man. Okay, sincere question. Which should I buy? R50, Z30, ZV-E10. Okay, like I said, R50, I can't recommend it because the autofocus loses me while I'm walking outside for whatever reason. And inside it's okay when it's on a tripod, but out in the real world, and there's no lenses. Nikon Z30, Nikon has way less lenses than Sony, but it does have plenty of lenses, and you can get the Viltrox and some Sigma lenses now for Nikon. But the Nikon Z30 overheats after about 25 minutes in 4K. That's about my only issue with that Nikon Z30. Other than that, it's absolutely great. And then the ZV-E10, sincere question. Look, I'm biased because it's all Sony gear over here, and I bought it because it worked. I didn't buy it because Sony gave me a call. Hey, no-name YouTuber, do you want to buy Sony cameras off us? No. Like I was doing Panasonic. I got really tired of having to manually focus everything, and this was long before the S5 II came out. So when it was time to buy a camera for talking head videos, I just I went with ZV-E10, and I haven't looked back. So that's, of course, I think you're going to be happy with the Nikon Z30 or ZV-E10. However, the Nikon does overheat, and they even say that in their manual. So it's that's one of the reasons ZV-E10, and ZV-E10 will have even a better lens selection. So But the Z30 has a better screen, and it's a bit better for taking photos. It has minimum shutter in auto ISO, and the screen is nicer to look at. So and it's a more comfortable camera to hold, the Nikon Z30. But of course, I'm going to biasly lean. Oh, and also the Nikon Z30 has much better rolling shutter. So I'm still leaning towards the ZV-E10 because if you're shooting what I'm shooting, then you're better off in the Sony system. But if you're shooting different things and stuff that what I just said about the Nikon appeals to you, then I would do the Nikon. Still can't do the R50 due to the autofocus problems I'm having with it and the absolute lack of lenses. So, I've hit my time. Okay, let's see if I can do one more question. Okay, here we go. Chancellor. Last question. All right, I just bought the Sony FX30. I wanted to know what would be your first 3 lenses to recommend and to buy. Okay. So if it's the FX30, you're not taking photos by the looks of it. So I would do the 11 for ultra wide, Sony 11mm 1.8 for ultra wide, and for vlogging, if you happen to, even though the FX30 is not the smallest camera in the world, with the 11mm on, it's definitely doable, handheld for vlogging. So I would do the 11 for wide. I would do the Sigma 16 f1.4 for studio work and interviews, or the 15 for studio work and interviews, if you also plan to use the 15 out in the world where you're going to be using the active stabilization. And then after that, I'd want a tighter lens for sure. So it would either be, you know what, it might be the Sigma 18-50 or the Tamron 17-70, just because that would cover me an all-purpose lens. I'd be able to zoom really far and still have a 2.8. Conversely, you could do a Sigma 30 1.4, which would give you sort of a 50mm look, or the Sigma 56 even, which would give you a portrait type of look. So, or, there's also the Sigma 23. I'm mentioning a lot of Sigma because they're great lenses, and the 1.4. So, yeah, Sony 11 for wide, Sony 15 for studio, or Sigma 16 for studio. Then, depending on how you want to go, if you want that zoom, Tamron 17-70, or if you want just tight with super blurry background, that really helps for like B-roll and stuff like that, and cool thumbnails when the 56 1.4 from Sigma, nice and tight. So yeah, there you go. Okay, so it's 1:03. We have gone a little 3 minutes over time. I answered many a question. I felt like I was more organized. I will just make sure that I didn't miss anything at the end here. I did not. So, of course, I didn't get to every single question. So write them down below in the comments of this video while it's posted, and then I'll leave it up. And I will try to answer it then. And so it's just pretty good. This was a far more organized stream. So, not bad, right? Second best streamer in the whole world. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you again soon. Okay, bye-bye. Gonna finish it, right?